Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamal Lydell Lundy.
Arrested by the DOJ. Pam Bondi has taken credit for it, a federal arrest. Folks, we talked about it before that they've been trying to go after Donna in particular for violating the FACE Act. A judge threw out the case. Hey, all, it's been a wild day. Thank you to Allison. I literally messaged her. I'm like, Allison, 2 p.m.? She goes, I could do it. Allison Gill of The Breakdown. You have to subscribe. She's an independent journalist. She has everything for free, no paywalls. Fantastic content, fantastic investigative reporting, fantastic breaking news. Also, the Daily Beans show. Also, she hosts a new, successful, very viral a series on Midas Touch. And of course, Mueller, She Wrote. She joins us. And specifically, the umbrella of what's happening is Donald Trump's DOJ's reign of terror, the use and abuse of the DOJ to suppress the First Amendment, go against critics, ensure his corruption, and to march towards fascism. And I just want to begin real quick, Allison, with independent journalist Don Lemon. Don Lemon and 3 other Black independent journalists whose names I will get for you. I want to name them. They were, yeah, please.
It's Traherne Cruz, Georgia Fort, and Jamal Lydell Lundy.
Arrested by the DOJ. Pam Bondi has taken credit for it, a federal arrest. Folks, we talked about it before that they've been trying to go after Donna in particular for violating the FACE Act. A judge threw out the case. On appeal, they threw out the case. It's all nonsense. It's all bullshit. But nonetheless, Pam Bondi has come in, and when you're in a fascist regime, who cares about the rule of law? You can just exercise power. They made examples out of them yesterday as a result of the temporary deal that was made last night. Donald Trump was asked, do you plan on de-escalation in Georgia? He said, no, I don't. Then late at night, he said horrible things about Alex Preddy. And then also yesterday, folks, what we got was the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, joining the FBI as they raided the Fulton County office, got all the original voter rolls. And what we also know is that 5 days ago, I think it's been 5 days, Allison, every day seems like 2 years, Pam Bondi did extortion with Governor Walz and said, oh, you want ICE out of Minnesota? Okay, give us your voter rolls, which, Allison, is totally immigration custom enforcement, right? Just to ask for the voter rolls of the state. So I want everyone just to pay attention to what's happening. I know it's a lot, but it's connected. And I yield the floor to you, Allison.
I thought they were there to investigate fraud.
Oh, yeah. You're right.
Sorry. Yeah, I always send in heavily armed militias to look at white-collar crime and then fire the white-collar crime corruption investigators. That's how I handle my fraud investigations.
And you also sued the IRS $10 billion, right? Because you're really upset that you had to release your transparency for your IRS files. Did you just sue them because you're upset?
You know how all my content is free, but you can, if you have the means, you can kick in money. I've decided to sue all the people who are giving me money here at Substack because I don't like my own content. So I'm going to sue you guys because you fund it. And because I'm in charge of all of it, I'm going to win. I think that, you mentioned the FACE Act, but it's also really, 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 really important to note that these 4 Black independent journalists are also being prosecuted under the Ku Klux Klan Act.
Right. Thank you.
They're being brought up on Title 18 U.S. Code 241 and 248. 248 is the FACE Act, 241 and 242, but that's not here. 241 is the Ku Klux Klan Act. And it also happens to be one of the 4 charges Jack Smith brought against Donald Trump for trying to thwart and steal the 2020 election by sending an angry mob of rioters to the Capitol to delay certification of Joe Biden's victory and disrupt the peaceful transfer of power. So this is kind of twofold here, right? It's obviously, threefold. I mean, it goes against everything that we know about the First Amendment, particularly independent journalists. The fact that they're Black journalists under the Ku Klux Klan Act, and 3, the fact that that is what Donald Trump himself was charged with. Now, usually he has a penchant for pardoning people for the same crimes he's been charged with, but not when that particular charge is a hoax. And so I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned the Ku Klux Klan Act, because I brought that up, 10 days ago when they first tried to arrest Don Lemon, and I said, let me get this straight. The Civil Rights Division is going to charge a Black journalist on Martin Luther King Jr. Day under the Ku Klux Klan Act. Do I have that right? I think that was their
Yes.
original plan. But again, it was thwarted by multiple judges and then another judge in the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals. So they were able to go around. I'd be interested. Story is just unfolding. I'd be interested to know how many grand juries they went to in order to get an indictment. Did they go to 3 or 4? Or it's been 10 days since they first tried, right? So how many grand juries failed to return an indictment? But this isn't about, nor is it ever about, actually getting a conviction. Just like the indictment against Letitia James, a Black woman, wasn't about getting a conviction. The indictment against Lisa Cook, a Black woman, federal governor reserve board, or the attempt. The indictment against LaMonica McIver, who for assaulting an ICE officer when she was actually assaulted. It's all the same thing. It's meat for the base. It is.
There you go.
We are going not after just journalists, but Black journalists, not after just Congresspeople, but Black Congresspeople, not only just presidents, but Black presidents. They want to go after Obama for treason. Even though he didn't do anything wrong, I think they forget that he has immunity just like Donald Trump does now, thanks to the Supreme Court. But that's the point here. And it's the poem. First they came for, then they came for, then they came for. And so it's extremely important for all journalists, independent journalists especially, white independent journalists especially, to speak out as loudly as we can against this injustice, because they're coming for you next.
There you go.
It doesn't stop. It's like Hitler with Poland. It keeps going, okay? It doesn't stop. And so thank you for having me on, because we really have to talk about this. And this is somebody asked me how I was doing today, and I was like, well, first, everything is supremely fucked up because the regime is arresting Black independent journalists. And number 2, everything is supremely fucked up because I live in a time where I can say without hyperbole that the regime is arresting Black independent journalists.
That's right.
So this is, and to be honest, ICE is such a bad Achilles cankle, as you call it, for this administration. They're feeding false narratives to the media to say they're de-escalating and they're pivoting, but then they abandoned that very quickly because he has dementia and he can't remember what he's supposed to be messaging on. So he tells, oh, no, we're not letting up. But he was hoping that his pivot and his de-escalation leaks, I should say Stephen Miller was hoping that the pivot and de-escalation leaks would convince Democratic senators to not ask for restrictions on ICE or to claw back that $130 billion slush fund from the big, beautiful bill. But, I spoke to Heather Cox Richardson today, and, we'll probably go live tonight or this weekend with her. But her and I agree that this ICE situation is so bad for the Trump administration right now, probably the worst for the Trump administration, enough to have the Senate Republicans back on their heels, that they're using the Epstein files to distract us from it. That's how bad it is.
I don't disagree with you. The fact is, folks, we'll talk about the Epstein files as well, because there's a lot of explosive information in the Epstein files, and they effed up yet again. And we'll talk about how they effed up, because I don't know if you've followed the last 20 minutes, Allison. Yet again, like they did, what was it, 5 weeks ago? The DOJ, whoopsie, deleted a document that mentions Donald Trump, and now it's no longer available. But we have it on the internet, and it's a really, really vile, disgusting. Gosh, a 13-year-old in detail explains how Donald Trump, she was forced to give oral sex to Donald Trump, and then what happened afterwards. And then all that information now, as of 45 minutes ago, Allison, it's killed. And to your point, they're on the back foot on ICE. ICE has radicalized Americans to the point, folks, where yesterday the poll came out that 46% of Americans, to 46 to 43% of Americans, want to abolish ICE, not reform, not retrain, not I don't know, slightly defund, abolish ICE. White people radicalize. The cover up against the death of Alex Preddy and Renee Nicoud hasn't worked, right? You have Fox News yesterday saying that 59% of Fox News polls, people who are polled say it's too aggressive. So on the back foot, where people are now losing, they're losing on ICE, and also the latest polls came out that he's negative double digits on immigration. Now, why is that a big deal? First, being negative double digits on anything is bad. But for Republicans, this is, how would you say it, Allison? Like their comfort food, their safe space. They're always positive on immigration, right? The fact that he's negative double digits and Republicans see that he's negative double digits on immigration, they're like, oh my God, that's like Democrats being negative double digits on supporting marriage equality is like
Right.
it'd be like disastrous. Like, excuse me, negative double digits on the economy, negative double digits on inflation, negative double digits now on foreign policy. Epstein files negative 35 on Greenland, folks. The two things Americans agree on is release all the Epstein files, and a larger number is against Trump using military force against Greenland. So I just want you to know, as we discuss all the terrible things over the next 30 minutes, these are all examples of a weak regime. I think it's very important people know that, Allison. It's a weak regime on its back foot, negative, losing people. They've lost Latino voters. They've lost youth. They're even losing single-digit white voters, right, to 7 to 9 points. They can't afford to lose any of that. A weak, wounded dog, or the analogy that we've given, is Donald Trump as a New York City cornered rat. No disrespect to New York City sewer rats. He will chew through anything and everyone, but they will get more vicious and more violent. And especially, as Allison said, when the king and daddy is demented and dying. And the fact that they thought, you know what? If we release the Epstein files, that will distract us from our cover up of two white people. Allison, have you seen some of the stuff that they've released in the Epstein files so far?
I have not yet. I haven't been looking through that. I've been focused on, talking to my friends about Catherine O'Hara. But
Oh yeah, that
I
also
will be.
happened.
I will be
Oh,
looking at that. But we have evidence that this regime is on there, up against the wall, up against the ropes. I think that because of the nuance, it's sort of hard to report properly what's happened in the Senate. Corporate media seems to be saying the Democrats have reached an agreement with the White House to fund the government. That's not what happened. The Democrats have reached an agreement with the White House and Congress and John Thune, the leader, the Republican leader, to sever DHS from the funding package so that they can fight on whether to shut down DHS by itself. That is a massive win for Democrats. That severance takes away a lot of Republican leverage and gives us a bunch of leverage, because if we shut down the 6 bill package, ICE continues because they're funded by the big, beautiful bill. CBP, which is almost worse than ICE, continues. They get paid. Nothing happens. No restrictions. They stay open. But we shut down the government on those 6 bill package, which includes things like SSI disability payments and Section 8 and Head Start program for kids. And so by severing DHS, which Lindsey Graham tried to block, by the way, because he wanted to be able to sue the government for $500,000 still because we got his phone records.
that's why. That's the main reason. There you go.
Yeah, because of himself. But that severance means that now our rallying cry can be defund ICE, or we will shut down the airports and the Coast Guard, instead of shut down ICE, or we will take away disability payments and Head Start and Section 8, right? So it's a much better bargaining position to be in. Now, I think the Senate has agreed to, instead of defunding ICE, I think they've agreed to put restrictions on ICE instead. I disagree with that. We'll know more in 2 weeks. I think they should use this leverage to claw back that big, beautiful bill slush
Yeah.
fund for CBP
Yes.
and ICE so that they can't
Yes.
continue to operate during a shutdown. That's just my 2 cents. That's personally what I would like to see. But severing this DHS bill gives us a better chance of defunding ICE than not having severed it. So the fact that Republicans, because I was talking to some people on approps and some experts who are actually working on this right now, and I was like, "Yeah, Republicans are never going to agree to sever DHS. That takes away all of our leverage. It takes away our leverage." They agreed to it, Waj. That's how far back on their heels they are. The fact that they agreed to fund Social Security, or excuse me, SSI disability payments, the fact they agreed to fund people, NIH grants, the fact that they aren't going to throw NIH people off life-saving clinical trials and all that other stuff, that's the kind of stuff Republicans would want to keep in the package to prevent us from shutting down the government. But now, if Lindsey Graham agrees, and I think he has, I think the latest is that he'll agree to an amendment to vote on whether or not he can sue the government for $1 million and Jack Smith or whatever, rather than stop the whole thing. But that taking away their own leverage like that and handing it to Democrats, whether Democrats use it properly or not is another question altogether. Okay, we can be pissed we can be pissed at that bridge when we come to it. But the fact that they gave up that leverage, they gave up pain points for Democrats and took on pain points for airports, billionaires, and the Coast Guard instead, goes to show how up against the ropes they are on this, how much people, the percentage of people disagree with this. 71% of independents are for abolish ICE. So I think that that's phenomenal, and I wish that it was being reported as such, that we actually got the Republicans to sever the DHS funding bill separately. Now, Republicans wanted to do a stopgap to fund DHS while we fought about it for 3 months, but we actually got them to 2 weeks. Another incredible detail that is evidence that the Republicans know that they are on the losing side of this issue. We have the leverage, and I hope that we use it. But like Senator Chris Murphy, awesome, right? Totally amazing guy. The whole caucus, including Chris Murphy, is pitching the restrictions and not defunding ICE. Probably because it's probably a non-starter for Republicans to defund a giant chunk of their huge agenda in the big ugly bill. Like, they're not going to go for it. And if they don't and we shut it down, CBP and ICE still operate without restrictions. So they're trying to, I think, go for the restrictions instead. But then again, who holds them responsible for those restrictions? I think their thinking is, well, we can't shut them down. They're funded through the big, beautiful bill, restrictionless, without restrictions. So we might as well try to put some restrictions on it, see if we can get them to agree to it. But how we hold them to those restrictions is a totally different point, which is why I want them to use that leverage to defund. But that's an argument for 2 weeks from now. But you're right. They're so back on their heels about this that they are now probably too early dropping whatever Epstein files they have. And did you notice they're using the open and ongoing investigation excuse to say why we're only releasing 3 million pages of the...
Yep. And also, they said apparently now with the Epstein files, they're saying this is the last of the batch that they'll release. So this is this is it. We're done. And with everything you just said, this is my take on it. And I lost a lot of followers, and I'm sure I'll lose more, and that's okay. I agree with everything you said about last night, but I'm going to do a yes and. So this is my yes and, because I saw your tweet and I actually reshared it with a comment. I don't trust Chuck Schumer. I'm going to maybe say this as a person of color. I don't trust establishment Democrats when it comes to ICE, immigration, terrorism, because it always comes at the expense of our bodies and our safety and our security. This is just me giving an historical example going back, I don't know, decades. When it comes to Chuck Schumer, I'm old enough to remember he's the one that caved just in November and allowed those 8 centrist Democrats to not hold the line. I remember he caved several months ago. I think it was September, right, Allison? Even though everyone said, hey, hold the line. He's like, I got a call from Wall Street. I remember last week, Hakeem Jeffries, it was reported that he himself, the pressure that we put on Democrats, and they saw the polls, they said, okay, I'm not going to vote to fund ICE, but he didn't whip the votes. And it passed 214 to 213 thanks to 7 centrist, quote unquote, Democrats. I've seen Chuck Schumer and his demands, which to me are very milk toast based on the polls where people are. Everything Allison said.
They're not his. That's what the caucus came up with. And I think
Yeah.
I got that from an interview with Greg Sargent on the Daily Blast with Chris Murphy, who I love as a senator, but he was arguing for those restrictions.
I like Chris Murphy. I think on this, they're playing it too weak. I think exactly what you said. If you have the leverage, I want to see what you actually fight for, because you have them on the back foot, and this is why I'm skeptical. And I want, like I said before, I'll say it again. I want to be proven wrong. If I am wrong,
I'm not skeptical. That's why I said we're yet to see what they do with this leverage. But I'm surprised and glad they got it.
Yeah, yes. So the win was, I remember I was live yesterday in the afternoon with Mike Madrid, and we first got the 55-45. And I'm like, man, Schumer held the line. I gave him credit. The second thing that Allison said, which is very important, they split it apart, right? You split up DHS funding with everything else. Wonderful. You fund the government. Wonderful. The problem, folks, is the 2-week stopgap is this. A lot of damage can happen in 2 weeks. Renee Nicole Good was murdered.
They'd be open anyway.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, less than 2 weeks later, I'm just talking about 2 weeks and just the time frame. 2 weeks later, Alex Preddy was killed. What we found out is ICE is now using mass surveillance techniques, scanning license plates, using drones, right? The Washington Post came out with a great piece yesterday, like just literally talking about how all these horrible companies are complicit with ICE in abridging our First Amendment, our Fourth Amendment, and now even our Second Amendment rights. My fear is, and this is just my fear, and like I said, I want to be proven wrong. I'll be so happy to be wrong. We live in the United States of Amnesia. Folks, 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump was talking about invading Greenland. People have stopped talking about it. Oh, yeah, he invaded Venezuela. We don't even talk about that right now. So what the Republicans are hoping for, and I hope they are wrong, we'll punt this. People will forget. We'll distract them. Case in point, Epstein files today. Distraction, distraction, distraction. I believe ICE will be violent. I believe ICE will continue occupying. I believe ICE will continue terrorizing. I believe ICE will not stop, but not moderate. As Donald Trump said yesterday, we're not de-escalating. No. So my hope is, folks, and this is where I think Allison and I agree. And if you disagree with me, let me know. We have these 2 weeks. We, the people, have to go all in. Like, this is it, folks. We have to go all in. And you have to move the Democrats to the position that Allison just said. What? Hey, and you have to tell people, excuse me, ICE is funded to $10 billion a year. And last year, you gave ICE $75 billion, which is 7 times their annual budget. Why do we have that money?
Democrats didn't.
No, I'm saying Republicans, right? I'm talking about Democrats asked the Republicans. No, we're not going to, claw that back. And oh, by the way, why is ICE violating our civil liberties and taking our phones and putting us in a database? By the way, why should we even fund this agency that is killing people? And by the way, what are the names of the 2 officers that killed Alex Preddy? And by the way, why are you even deployed against American cities? Oh, by the way, why are you deporting American citizens? That's how I want it. I want us to go on smash mouth football, defund, whatever word you want to use. You don't like abolish ICE? I don't care. We have the position, Allison, and I believe, and I say this, we were told, folks, in 2024. I'll end on this analogy, and we'll go back to also we'll talk about Georgia, which is important. 2024, We wanted to help the Democrats. Folks, you all know me. I said vote for Kamala Harris. I got heat for saying vote for Kamala Harris. Lesser of two. Sure. I said all. People are like, how can you say vote for Kamala Harris? Because I said everything will be worse with Donald Trump. At least with Kamala Harris, we can push, right?
Yeah, you elect Democrats and you push them because
You push them, right?
they're pushable. Yeah.
And so in 2024, what happened? The DNC ignored its base. We said, we're not trying to be agitators. We're telling you where the base is. The base has been radicalized in real time by a genocide that's happening. You cannot ignore this. The bar was so low, we said the bar is in hell. We're trying to help you. Just bring a Palestinian speaker next to a Jewish speaker, the Rose Goldberg Poland. She spoke beautifully. Nobody was upset. Everyone applauded. Put a Palestinian mother next to her, win. They said, shut up. They said, no, we won't. 18 million people stayed at home. Number one reason why many Democrats stayed home, according to the YouGov poll, Gaza, genocide. She still wouldn't have won, but she would have lost by maybe 1 instead of 1.5. But you would have radicalized so many people. Allison, I think we're witnessing something. You know, you and I talked about Gaza. We talked about marriage equality. Those two things in my lifetime that I was like, that's remarkable. What a stunning shift. The last 2.5 weeks, this country shift on ice, I think they have been radicalized, Allison. And I
Well,
believe
yeah. Chris Murphy actually said something to that effect when he talked to Greg Sargent. He said, if we don't stand up and fight now with this funding bill, millions of Democrats, millions of Americans are going to just politically unplug and give us all the middle finger.
absolutely correct.
But when he was talking about if we don't fight, what he was talking about were those restrictions. Make ICE wear IDs, body-worn cameras, no masks, gotta cooperate with things. That's, to him, to Chris Murphy, what the fight is. Now, I happen to know that a couple of Democratic senators are interested in possibly asking to defund, which is what I'm asking, when now we have 2 weeks
Yeah.
to call our Republican and Democratic senators and say, hey, if you want to use the proper wording, we want a rescission. Please rescind
Fine by me.
the BBB slush fund that
There you
funds
go.
CBP and ICE during a shutdown. That's what the verbiage is for defunding. We can't abolish right now because that requires a law that has to be signed by a president to get rid of an agency that was created by law, DHS specifically, and everything that goes along with it. I want to do that when we have the person in the White House to do that, and whoever runs should be running on that. That's a moderate position, by the way.
Yep.
To abolish ICE. But the fact that, I mean, I think Dems thinking with why they did the 2-week stopgap. First of all, again, Republicans wanted 3 months. That's fucking stupid. That's longer than the last continuing resolution we had. I think their thinking was, if we don't pull out the DHS and give a 1 or 2 week stopgap, not additional funding, just to keep it open for DHS. If we don't do that and the whole government shuts down, ICE continues unabated, unrestricted, and fully funded, everybody getting paid, along with Customs and Border Protection for that week or two. So it's like 6 or 1/2 dozen of another, right? We can't stop it right now. And if we have DHS severed, we have more leverage. But I really want them to use that leverage. And so now we have 2 weeks to call them and say, hey, you've got them on the ropes. These restrictions are fine, but you should also ask to, however you want to phrase it, rescind the BBB slush fund for CBP and ICE, defund ICE and CBP, and make sure you include CBP because they have a massive slush fund. They have a $63 billion slush fund from the Big Ugly Bill.
Yep.
And they're awful and horrible. Just because Tom Homan replaced Bovino doesn't mean that they're any better. But that's what we need to really focus on. And so, I'm in 100% agreement with you, Waj. And that's why I say I love that they were able to get this massive win and get more leverage and sever the DHS funding bill separately. Now, what they do with that leverage, nobody's going to be, 100% of the people aren't going to be happy with what they decide to do. But if they don't do anything, or if they cave, or if they do the typical Chuck Schumer dance, Chris Murphy warned, you will see a massive retreat from political life for a lot of people. They'll just be like, well, how many times are you going to do this?
Rage. You'll see rage because people, I'm talking to folks in Minnesota. They're like, we're being occupied. Like we're literally being terrorized. We like just today, ICE agents went to the school of 5-year-old Luis Ramos and got 2 more kids. They're doing flashbangs and tear gas and kidnapping people and going into churches and schools, murdering people, covering up the murder. Right. So this is politics, folks. This is actually a really good moment to realize that you call it the push and the pull, where you have people like me who apparently are the crazy radicals, even though I don't think I'm radical at all. I think I'm actually with the people and the people's sentiment, but I'm being aggressive. I'm the one. I'm the pest right now, Allison. I'm the one that people don't like hearing. I'm the one people are muting. I'm the people like, why can't? And then there's people who are like, all right, all right, all right. I'm doing the work. I'm doing the work. I'm doing the work. So you need the push and the pull, because at the end of the day, it's not about the ego. It's not about being right and wrong. It's about using this rare moment that we have right now, folks, because we live in the United States of amnesia. I'm telling you, a lot can happen in 2 weeks and 2 months. For the Republicans, they believe 2 weeks will punt, which is why what happened today. Yeah, the Civil Rights Division's gonna investigate Alex Preddy's murder. Inshallah, we'll figure it out. 2 weeks from now, we're still investigating. 4 weeks from now, who? Alex Preddy? Yeah, we're on it. 8 weeks from now, that terrorist, Alex Preddy? Oh, of course not. So it's up to us for the push, and then the people who are there, the vehicles that we have, the Murphys and other. What happens? Then they get more of the, if you will, the bandwidth to then say and do the things that we want them to do. So you need this right now. We have 2 weeks. It's very important. I agree with you, Allison and Heather. Say hi to Heather to me, where like this is a moment. They're on the back foot. They're on the back foot, and the sign of desperation. And I want to talk about this because I think they're giving you the bread, not even the breadcrumbs. My God, they're giving you the entire, like literally painted sign to where they want to go. I think it's been only 5 days, Allison, where Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, told Governor Walz in that extortion letter, "Oh, you want ICE out? Okay, you give us you give us the voter rolls of Minnesota." And then yesterday, Allison, can you tell them what happened in Fulton County and the fact that Tulsi Gabbard was there and what that forebodes to their supervillain plot for 2026 and 2028?
Yeah, well, instead of investigating the murders of Alex Preddy or Renee Good, they're investigating fake claims of 2020 election fraud, something that's been debunked a million ways to Sunday, something he lost 63 times in court, something that the other side has admitted and pled guilty to multiple times in several cases and jurisdictions, something that Lindsey Graham, when he was questioned in Fulton County about Donald Trump, said, oh, he's insane. He would think that if you told him aliens helped steal the election, he would. Tulsi Gabbard's presence is a huge problem because, well, first of all, she's awful. But second of all, it indicates that there's a national security issue here. She's the
There you
DNI.
go.
She's
There you go.
atop all 17 intelligence agencies. And if you recall, there were a lot of rumors going on with this came out in the classified documents case because the classified intelligence assessment that came out about the Russia investigation was
Yep.
part of something that Donald Trump wanted in discovery in the classified documents case, because he was arguing that his CISA, which is part of the Department of Homeland Security, by the way, the one where Krebs said that it was the most secure election of all time, he said that there was actually a meeting where they found out that there was foreign election interference using Italian satellites.
Yep.
And the reason that they wanted to go with the foreign election interference claim is because they were trying to establish that they have a role to play as the executive in our elections, which they do not. Elections are administered by the states, okay? And so that's kind of their way around it. Like the Venezuelan boat strikes, national security. Seacoast prison, national security. I can't tell you our agreement with Bukele. National security, because recently the Supreme Court said when they ordered Abrego Garcia to be returned home, they said, but you have to show deference when it comes to foreign policy to the president. And he has grabbed onto that and that national security argument, and he makes it for everything. So think about this. You've got Maduro in lockup.
That's right.
Part of the foreign interference claims had something to do with Hugo Chavez. You've got the Italian satellite claim. You roll down with bolt cutters and massive saws and steal all the election ballots.
Yep.
And then, I don't know, fabricate foreign election interference to justify putting ICE officers at all 2026 midterm ballot counting offices or polling sites. It's a national security issue, so the courts can't review it. I mean, they can, but that's what he'll argue, and who knows what the Supreme Court will do. Maybe you offer Maduro a deal to confess to foreign election interference in 2020 to steal the election from Donald Trump and give it to Joe Biden in exchange for a pardon and release back to, run. Oh, and give us all your oil from now on. I mean, who knows?
Which I sell, and I'll just put it. Don't worry, it's for Americans, but I'll just put it in an offshore account in Qatar. Don't worry.
And they don't have to show the evidence of this to cast doubt on the free and fair election. Just like when he told our DOJ, when he wanted to install Jeffrey Clark as part of his scheme to overturn the election, one of the conspiracies that was charged by Jack Smith was to tell the Department of Justice, just say that there's an ongoing investigation and let Republicans and me in the Congress do the rest. Just say there is. So will we see any arrests? Maybe you might get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich on these ballots. You'll never get to discovery in court because they'll have to hand over the evidence. If they do hand over the evidence, it's going to be fabricated. And they control the FBI, who testifies about the validity of evidence because they're analysts and experts. So that's the importance of Tulsi Gabbard being there, is to say it's a national security issue, which is why the president of the United States, the executive branch, has an obligation to, and he will use this phrase, faithfully execute the laws of the United States, because he always does. And you have to show me deference when it comes to national security. And my pal Maduro here just confessed to stealing the election for Joe Biden. Something like that. I'm just guessing.
National security then allows you, as the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief, to say, the power is vested in me. It is my duty to protect America. And as such, I believe that these elections are compromised or there is too much terrorist activity or too much fill in the blank Antifa that is threatening the national security. And as such, I have to implement the Insurrection Act to quell these evildoers, fill in the blank evildoers, and punt these elections. And in the meantime, just declare martial law. Now, if they can't do that, it's like connect the four, Allison. They're trying from every angle to connect four. All right. One angle, Insurrection Act, martial law. Another angle, lies, that everything's rigged, deep state. Another angle, pressure, threaten, intimidate. Another angle, take over the voter rolls, voter purging. The end goal is permanent power by any violent, corrupt means necessary. And I don't know if you saw this post, Allison, literally based on what you said. I hope you guys were listening to Allison for the past couple of minutes. This should be breaking news, but there's 74 fires. This was less than 14 hours ago. Donald Trump. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has just released 100 of bombshell Russiagate documents going back to the old hits, proving that Barack Obama personally ordered CIA agents to manufacture false intelligence of President Trump and was actively working with the enemy to undermine and erode Americans' confidence in our democracy and President Trump's, all caps, landslide 2016 victory. This was a coup attempt by...
No.
This was a coup attempt by Barack Hussein Obama and his cronies. As Jesse Waters said, whatever happens to these guys is not revenge, it's accountability. And it's time for some people to pay the price. All caps, final words, arrest Obama now. That was 14 hours ago.
Yep. So, first of all, the CIA thing he's talking about, which has already been debunked, 100 Ways to Sunday, Chuck Grassley tried to release some documents trying to prove this. Obama was asking, the CIA had a moderate belief that there was Russian interference in the election, and all the other agencies had a high confidence level when they put their assessment together, the 2017 assessment together. So I think officials from the White House called or asked John Brennan of the CIA to clarify the difference, why they had a moderate confidence level instead of the other 16 intelligence agencies that had a high confidence level. And the answer came, and I think if memory serves, in the form of a memo that read that our human source is not as or we're using human intelligence, human, instead of what like the NSA can get, which is actual tapping of stuff and hearing the conversations. So that's why ours is not just we don't have enough raw information. We don't have as much information as the FBI or the NSA. And they were like, okay, understood. And they published the report as is. Nobody tried to get them to change their moderate delineation, which is also why Brennan is under investigation.
Right.
After 4 different grand juries and jurisdictions refused to open one. But let me tell you a little bit about the foreign interference thing, because I just pulled up, I write all my scripts and store them in a database so I can search. This is from an episode of the Jack podcast way back. Gosh, I think it was one of the final ones.
Allison, continue. I'm listening. I'm just plugging my computer. Please continue. I didn't
Yep.
mean to. No disrespect.
So this is from the script of that show about the Jack Smith investigation. We also learned that Jeffrey Clark and Scott Perry had some secret messages on Signal that special counsel Jack Smith obtained from a warrant issued before he was appointed special counsel. That Merrick Garland got that warrant. That's the warrant for Scott Perry's phone. Co-conspirator 4 obtained highly classified briefing on foreign interference in the 2020 election. Foreign interference in the 2020 election on January 2nd, 2021. A briefing that yielded nothing to support the conspirators' allegations, as demonstrated by contemporaneous electronic messages between co-conspirator 4 and the same member of Congress who had introduced co-conspirator 4 to Mr. Trump. That's Scott Perry, Jeffrey Clark, and Donald Trump. He got signal messages showing that Jeffrey Clark was ordered after Krebs said there was no foreign interference. Trump sent Jeffrey Clark to be
That's right.
briefed by Daniel Ratcliffe. No.
And then Allison, can you tell him?
Not Daniel. Sorry, what's his name? DNI.
DNI Radcliffe. And can you remind people what was Chris Krebs' punishment for just doing his job and saying no, everything was fine?
I mean, he was fired.
And also, him and Miles Taylor, executive order where Donald Trump is saying that he wants to investigate them for treason.
Right. So that's why DNI Tulsi Gabbard was there. It says here, you'll recall Trump tried to argue he had the right to question the outcome of an election because of foreign interference, and he ordered Ratcliffe to brief Jeffrey Clark. But Ratcliffe said to Jeffrey Clark that there wasn't any foreign interference. Even Ratcliffe confirmed it. So this was going to be a crucial piece of evidence at trial, but it took a long time to get that evidence. Merrick Garland seized both of their phones, but it took forever to get Scott Perry's unlocked and to get through litigation because he had speech or debate privilege, and that took like 8 months to get that. People are like, why did the investigation take so long? It's because you had to, once you seized phones. And by the way, in order to get that phone, the FBI, holdovers at the FBI who are Trump supporters, refused to execute the search warrant on Scott Perry. So Merrick Garland got creative and sent the post office cops and the inspector general cops to seize his phone because the FBI refused to execute his search warrant that he got from a judge signed. So in that phone, they found evidence that they were trying to create
that glitch. My phone glitched, and I tried to get back to it, and there was 2,500 people, and Allison was cooking. So forgive me. Allison, continue, because I completely. All right, continue. You were talking about Radcliffe, Krebs, Krebs came out and said, folks, everything was fine. There's no big, nothing to worry about. Then I came out and said, Krebs and Miles Taylor, as a result of them, just doing their jobs, Donald Trump has investigated him for treason. And then you took the ball and we're moving forward.
Yeah. So it's actually in volume 1 of Jack Smith's report, by the way. This is all from volume 1 of Jack Smith's report, that we know that Jack Smith has evidence of text messages, signal messages between Jeffrey Clark and Trump and Ratcliffe, Jeffrey Clark and Scott Perry, admitting that Ratcliffe told them there was no foreign election interference. And this is something that Trump tried to suppress as evidence. He wanted it desperately not to come out. It's why he is going after the Russia election interference brief. And so in 2020 specifically, um, they admitted it in signal messages that there was no foreign election interference. So that could come in handy when we have to push back on whatever Tulsi Gabbard's going to talk about. But it's also why they wanted to do their best to discredit the Jack Smith investigation and call it political and get mad about the fact that their toll records were received. It's all around this 2020 election conspiracy theory that there was foreign interference in the election. And that's what they're trying to fabricate out of whole cloth by sending DNI Tulsi Gabbard down there to do what DNI Ratcliffe would not do.
That I love how you say, and that, folks, I appreciate Allison saying that. I know, because there's so much happening that, first of all, the FBI raid by itself, terrible. But everyone was asking, what the F is DNI Tulsi Gabbard doing there? And she was, so folks, just connect the dots. There, it's like any game, but Connect 4 is the first game that came to my mind. And you're trying to play the game Connect 4. You're like, all right, I'm working on this angle. If this angle gets blocked off, I'll work on this angle. If this angle gets blocked off, I'll work on this angle. At the end of the day, the end result is Connect 4. And for this Trump administration, I just want you to trust the evidence of your eyes and your ears. They are not leaving peacefully. They are not leaving legally. They are trying to manufacture any means or crisis for Donald Trump to stay in power. Don't listen to us. Don't believe us. Listen to his own words. I'm going to terminate the Constitution. I'd like to be a dictator for a day. Oh, yeah. Remember when Zelensky came? Oh, so when there's a war, you can't have elections? Huh. Okay. That'd be good. I said, I could be president a third time. We're working on it. I'm not saying I want to. Maybe that'd be good. You know, one way we could do it, JD Vance could run and I could be the vice president, and then he could step down and I make me president. Before the election, to his base, you won't have to vote ever again. Don't worry. The violent insurrection, promoting the lie, still blaming the deep state, now blaming Obama, now blaming foreign actors, all projection, national security issue, insurrection, invasion, invaders. Folks, when asked if he was going to go against the Insurrection Act, employ the Insurrection Act just 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump didn't say no, folks. Didn't say no. Who else didn't say no? Pam Bondi. Who else didn't say no? Stephen Miller. I want you all to pay attention. And someone just said in our comment section, he always tells you what he's about to do, Sandra said. That's right. Sometimes they even write it, Allison, in Project 2025. So this is where we are. For those, you lost 1,500. I know. It's not my fault. It literally, it glitched, and I just pressed it. I just didn't even press off. I just pressed back, and then it just killed everything. So please forgive me, Allison's subscribers and my subscribers. For those who are joining us, don't worry. I'm gonna stitch this back together, and then I'm gonna add Allison, so she'll get the entire video nice and clean. And then once I stitch it and add her, she can then share it for everyone else. It'll be fine. We had 2,500 people. They're coming back, but we got cut off in mid thought, and then I brought Allison back, and I'll stitch it back. I promise. Real quick, Allison, I'll let you go, but I do want to ask about the Epstein files and the Justice Department, because apparently this is the last thing that we're gonna get. And I know there's so much to talk about, and you haven't seen it, but Steve Bannon's all over it. Elon Musk apparently is all over it. They couldn't, just like last time, Allison, they couldn't redact everything. And what we know as of right now is after publishing it, the DOJ has gone back and taken out a damning, disgusting, gross document that alleges how a 13-year-old was forced to just do things to Donald Trump. Uh, the Epstein, this is breaking now on MS Now. The Epstein documents initially released today included a spreadsheet containing claims of impropriety some secondhand made against Trump and other prominent people. Folks, less than 2 hours that appear to have been unsubstantiated tips or allegations. The spreadsheet later appeared to have been removed, but it was not immediately clear why. This is what was removed. Uh,
I know why.
name redacted, reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago. In New Jersey, the friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13, 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit Donald Trump while performing the act. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about biting Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein. Spoke with caller identified blank as friend. Lead was sent to Washington office to conduct interview. Results matching name and DOB for criminal history in Southern California. Date of arrest 1987 for assault and battery, high and aggravated nature. At age 16, while modeling, caller attended 8 parties at Epstein's New York residence. On one occasion, caller reported she was sexually assaulted by Epstein. Another occasion, 2 twin brothers, Alan and Orrin, lured caller and her friend upstairs, but they escaped back downstairs. Caller stated Orrin raped her best friend and third brother, raped a 14-year-old girl. Caller named other individuals in big orgy parties with her, other young girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Clinton and Trump. Online complainant reported she was a victim and witnessed a sex trafficking ring at Trump golf course in California between 95 and 96. This was the height of when Trump and Epstein used to party and chase girls together. Complainant reported Ghislaine Maxwell as the madam and broker for sex parties, clients of whom included Epstein, Robin Leach, and Donald Trump.
Mhm.
That is now gone from the DOJ.
Right. Yeah. I've had a ton of people sending me that and saying, save this somewhere on a hard drive. Also, apparently, there's an email from Jeffrey Epstein. Supposedly, a girl said that Donald had intercourse with her at his house when she was underage. And she said she had a witness in 1993. So there's a lot that it looks like they failed to redact.
Yep.
But what's interesting is in this particular document, there's a lot of weird character substitutions. So, like the D in Donald has an equal sign. The final D in Donald has an equal sign. And maybe that weird character substitution or typo is why the Trump administration was unable to find this mention of Donald Trump in the files. Seems like they would have better searching mechanisms for that, but I think they rely on a lot of AI these days. Um,
There's a lot. We'll folks, we'll get into it. We'll get we'll get into it. I'll probably rely on probably bother Allison on Monday, and later tonight we'll get into it. But let's end this with. I mean, I don't know. It's not good news. It's very sad news. But the mighty Catherine O'Hara passed away. And we found out while we were on doing another live, and Catherine O'Hara, 71 years old, in addition to everyone knowing her as Kevin's mom in Home Alone, also in Schitt's Creek, also was in Beetlejuice, also a Canadian icon, part of, this fantastic comedy troupe that worked with Christopher Guest. It's one of those situations, Allison, I think, we're of the same generation, that once you see these icons pass, you're like, what? But isn't she just 35? She should live forever. And that's the thing with pop culture sometimes, is when these people die, they're parts of your history, your memory, right? And she's been around since the 80s, so my entire life. And according to everyone who's known her, just a professional, a good person, so hilarious. Your take on the passing of Catherine O'Hara?
I'm gutted. She's been a hero of mine since I saw Beetlejuice in the theaters. And then I was able to look back on all of her previous work and comedy that she had done, and I mean, her catalog is massive. So, hi. Um, So it's very sad to lose Catherine O'Hara. She's just a icon in women's comedy.
Folks, we've just been joined by Democracy Forward's president, Skye Perriman. And this is Allison Gill of Mueller, She Wrote, Skye. And my co-host, Danielle Moody, says hello to you. And yeah, someone reached out and she said, "Oh, Skye, she's great." And we were
Yeah,
just,
we know
I was about,
Skye. We've had Skye on the Daily Beans.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
We've talked
and
about
so
our various FOIA escapades. In
Skye, we
this
just talked about.
administration.
Yes.
We did a deep dive into Georgia, into Don, into Epstein files about what's happening, and then as I was saying goodbye to Allison, we're just wanting to send a nice note about Catherine O'Hara, an amazing actress who just passed away. But if you can, Skye, let me shamelessly promote Allison. Allison, please promote yourself to everyone who's watching.
All my stuff is free. Just subscribe if you get a chance. I would love it if you haven't listened to the Daily Beans podcast before. You can start with my interview with Skye Perriman if you'd like. It's very important to me that I'm able to get the news out to people in a way that makes it digestible and understandable, in a way that doesn't have any Scott Jenningses yelling stupid things in your face.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of appropriate profanity if that's okay. But it's, I just want people to feel like they're not alone, and that's the purpose of the podcast, is to deliver news in that way. So if you're into it and you need to get your news, you can check it out wherever you get your podcast at Daily Beans. Just search for the Daily Beans, and really appreciate it. Although we do get a lot of people who accidentally subscribe to the Daily Beast instead. So then they want to cancel, and I'm like, that's not me.
And as we let Allison go, I just want to say, folks, there's an attack on independent journalists. There were 4 Black independent journalists, including Don Lemon, who were arrested by the government today at the auspices of Pam Bondi, who's gloating. If they can come after Don Lemon, they can come after all of us. It's open season. So we need to create our own underground railroad for independent journalists and media and protect each other, folks. If they can come after Renee Nicole Good and kill her, if they can come after Alex Preddy and kill him, and if they can go after Don Lemon and others, they will come after all of you. So we have to stick together, and please, please, please support Allison and independent journalists. Literally, today was an attack on independent journalism. The people were speaking out. The people who aren't part of Barry Weiss's CBS. Please support her. She does everything free. There's no paywall. So please, please, please go to her Substack, become a paid subscriber, help her out because she's doing this for free, and we have to stick together. Thank you, Allison, for taking the time.
Thanks, guys.
Skye,
good to see you, Skye.
We tried to get you on. I think by trying to get you on, there were 2,500 people here, and I accidentally got Allison off, but we restarted. Skye Perriman, she's the president of Democracy Forward. Democracy Forward is a national legal organization that advances democracy and social progress through litigation, policy, and public education. And a mutual friend of ours said, "Hey, you want to talk to Skye today?" And I'm like, "I've heard her name. I think she does good work." She goes, "Get Skye on." So thank you, Skye, for joining us. I know you have limited time, but you wanted to talk about why it's so important for all of us to be alarmed, be shocked, and raise hell about the arrest of not just Don Lemon, but 3 other Black independent journalists today.
Yeah, I think it's important that we pay attention to what's going on. The White House has decided it has a PR problem and an optics problem with its agenda. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have a problem with its actual agenda, which is a 5-alarm fire for democracy, depriving people of due process, U.S. citizens and other people being killed in open daylight at the hands of federal agents. So we know that this is an existential problem for anybody that cares about the American people, for our country. The White House is treating it like an optics problem. And so its strategy is actually to try to prevent people from seeing what is going on. That's its strategy, and you can see that very clearly. They detained people who were just eyewitnesses of Alex Preddy's killing. Kept them for a few hours without even their lawyers. We were on top of that last weekend. They have arrested, as you've said, journalists, including Black independent journalists, which seems to be a trend with them.
Very deliberate.
They're trying to deny things that everyone can see, and they can see it because of the journalists that are reporting it. They are claiming that you can't tape ICE when you have a First Amendment right to be an observer and to tape what the government is doing. And so this is their whole strategy of trying to fix what they perceive as an optics problem. And I think we've got to sound the alarm bell here. I mean, what we know about the Don Lemon matter, and we'll learn more, but what we know is he actually wasn't even going into the church to protest. He was there as a journalist to cover what was happening.
There you go.
Number one, also, I mean, I think there's a lot of questions around what they're doing. Certainly, a lot of the efforts they've had to suppress protests have also been found to be unlawful. But just with John in particular, been on his show. He's an independent journalist. He was there to be a journalist, and they have locked him up. So I think that's what we want everybody to be concerned. And the answer to it is to not normalize it. So to be outraged, to engage in peaceful, nonviolent, direct action. There's a strike going on today, a general strike across the country. So we've all got to band together. We know this White House is actually not impervious to pressure. That's why they're, feeling like they have to back out of Minneapolis. They haven't done it yet, but you see that they are pressured when the people are pushing, and so we all have to keep pushing.
And can I ask you, I mean, Scott, because I don't know your position on this, but the reason why they're doing this, let's be honest, is they're on the back foot. They want distractions. If
100%.
for the first time in our lifetime, we've seen, thank God, a majority of Americans say abolish ICE, criticize ICE, being critical of ICE. They realize, oh my God, we can't gaslight people about the murder of Renee Nicole Good. We can't gaslight people about the murder of Alex Preddy. So let us give us our base red meat that they love, the scalps, and that's the word they have used in the past, of 4 black journalists. And like you said, they did nothing wrong. They've been trying for a couple of weeks to go after Don Lemon. Judges threw it out. They went under appeal. They threw it out.
Including a judge that clerked for the very conservative Justice Scalia, I believe. Yes.
And he even said this is BS. You got nothing under the FACE Act, under the KK Act. No. Don Lemon, like you said, was just a journalist. He went in. They're perfectly fine supporting and promoting violent insurrectionists who smeared shit in the U.S. Capitol, vandalized the U.S. Capitol, tried to assassinate Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi, beat up cops. But these peaceful protesters who went inside to this particular church because one of the pastors is a field agent for ICE. And then Don just followed them in and was exercising his First Amendment rights. And all of it was peaceful, folks, whether you're against it or that protest or not. Don and these other journalists, that's what they did, their First Amendment rights. What Alex Preddy did with his phone, First Amendment right. You sitting there with the whistle, First Amendment right. So they're going against the First Amendment right, Second Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights, Skye. And I wanted your take on this. Abolish ICE. I think it's time to abolish ICE. I don't know where Democracy Forward is on this, but I wanted to ask you where you and Democracy Forward stand on this.
I certainly don't believe that there's any basis for any law enforcement authority or whatever, a federal agency at all, to be operating the way that ICE is operating. And so if the way that ICE is going to operate is to run roughshod over people's constitutional lives, literally over people's lives, as we've seen, then there has to be a guardrail to prevent that. Whether that is, what that looks like, we stick to the courtroom, but we are not at all in favor of any type of aiding and abetting, encouraging, of what is happening right now with ICE. I think the vast majority of Americans agree. I mean, we've seen this. It turns out that fascism is not actually popular in American society. People don't want to have to be scared walking the streets, and the right of people to protest, even if they disagree with one another, that's a sacred right in this country that the vast majority of people support.
And also, you said in the courtroom, isn't what we're seeing illegal behavior that should be investigated, prosecuted?
It's completely unlawful. I believe you're going to see the courts continue to find that. You've already seen courts stepping out, in pretty exceptional ways because the government is operating in an exceptional way. I mean, there's such little credibility that this administration has right now. Courts are having to even issue orders to remind the government they can't destroy documents, and for good reason, because this administration is going into court making untruthful representations and cases across the board. So this is unlawful. It's a violation of people's rights. We are going to be in court every single day, as will so many other lawyers across the country, every single day until this conduct is abated. The people have to use their voice and hold their elected representatives accountable. If elected representatives are, continuing to support what is fundamentally an unlawful and harmful operation, which is what ICE is engaged in.
And I know you have to run, so I'm going to ask you two final questions. There are people who say, well, I was just following orders. What do you say to them? When all is said and done, they'll say, I was just following orders. Kristi Noem, in fact, said that a couple of days ago when there were threats of her being thrown under the bus. She said, oh, I was just following orders, folks. I was just taking cues from Stephen Miller and Donald Trump. This was just this week, folks, by the way.
I know. I mean, that's not how a democracy works. So every single person that has an employment with the federal government and civil servants in particular, so these ICE agents that are coming on, they are required to take an oath to affirm the Constitution. And that is the oath that people take. And it is not, we have people that work at Democracy Forward who, were ordered to lie to federal courts. They refused to do it and were fired. And now they've had to, do other things. And so we're really encouraging everyone to find the courage that they have. Courage is it's a word that means heart. It stands for your integrity, your truth. It is not okay to engage in activities under the guise of the federal government that is openly violating the Constitution or court orders, and beyond what technicalities the administration wants to wheel and deal in. Well, I was just doing this, or this email said this. History will be the judge. And what we know about history is that it does not look kindly on people who were just following orders, so to speak, and using that as a veneer to violate people's constitutional rights, to try to deprive people of due process. So this is a very concerning time, certainly. But this is an administration that wants to act like it has more power than it does. And it's going to be up to every single person in this country to use their voice, engage in peaceful, direct action, just like people across the country are doing today with this strike.
And then the final question I have for you, I know you do it in the courtroom, but Democracy Forward, also you deal with grassroots organizations and nonprofit. It's about it's about fight for democracy. You literally have on your website, the fight for democracy is the fight for people. Today, like you mentioned, is they're calling on a massive strike. A lot of people are striking. They don't have, as you know, this guy, they don't have much faith in their elected officials. They don't have much faith in their institutions. They don't have much faith in law enforcement. I was talking to Minnesota protesters, but they have faith in each other. A lot of people are feeling empowered. They want to get on the streets. They want to do something. Grand Tifas, average Jose's, Joes, Janes, moms, dads. Your recommendation for people to organize and raise hell right now, and then to push these institutions, corporations, and elected officials to do the right thing.
That's just it. So we want you to know your rights. If you're in Minnesota, you can go to democracyforward.org. Right on our front website, there is a banner where you can see how you can know your rights and get engaged on the ground, organizations that you can support. If you are not in Minnesota, you can support those organizations. But also remember, this threat is coming to you. This is an administration that brags about its shock and awe, operates all. And so start building community with your neighbors. Who are you going to protect? How are you going to protect each other? Go ahead and know your rights. Build the bonds. What has happened in Minneapolis is that the community there is so strong. The community is so strong. So if you feel like doom scrolling, you're isolated, you're alone, you're angry, we all get it. But the best thing to do is to build community that creates the conditions for the courage. And if you don't feel like you need the courage today, you're going to need it soon, because this administration is coming for the American people. But the American people are the majority. They do still get to be in charge. And we have to do that through direct nonviolent action that is only powerful when we're doing it all together. If you want examples on how you can create that proactive community and courage, you can go to democracyforward.org/dinners, democracyforward.org/dinners. And there are
dinners as in DINNERS?
Dinners for democracies, coffees for change. You can come up with your other alliteration, but we're trying to make sure that people on a proactive basis are getting together to build community, because you're going to need it. And Minneapolis is a shining example of the strength of community, the courage and resolve of people, and the power of nonviolent direct action.
Awesome. Skye, thank you so much for joining us. Shamelessly promote yourself before you jump off.
Oh, well, I mean, look, we're here for the American people. Democracy's in our name, but as we say, the fight for the democracy is the fight for people. So what we'd love you to do is go to democracyforward.org and sign up for our updates. We do not spam you. We don't tell you to rush us $5. We don't do any of that. We have newsletters. We will give you updates from courts, and we will also push out resources like the ones you see on our website about how to get involved. And then, we represent everyone free of charge. So because of all of you and your generosity.
Thank you, Skye. Take care. I hope you can come back. And I know you only had 10 minutes today. You're making all the rounds.
I'll do it anytime. All right. Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you all for watching. There was 2,600 people. There's still a technical glitch happening with my Substack Live right now on the phone. It's really kind of strange, but we're still going. So I haven't touched it because if I touch it, last time it happened, it glitched. So for those who joined a bit late, don't worry. I'm going to have this up. I had Allison Gill on. We talked about the Department of Justice, what they're doing in Georgia, what they did with Don Lemon today and 3 other Black journalists. The Epstein files briefly we talked about. But there's so much that we're going to hopefully talk about later tonight. I emailed Ellie. Ellie has like 900 kids. I'm going solo right now. I have 500 kids, but maybe inshallah later tonight after we have some time to read. But we already know they redacted something. It's remarkable. Even with their redactions, they still can't give it away because Donald Trump is all over it. Folks, they're playing for all the marbles. And what Skye said, I think, is very important. If they can kill a white woman, Renee Nicole Good, and as her blood is still warm, they can lie about her and call her a domestic terrorist and gaslight you about her death, they can do it to you. 2 weeks later, they did it. They did it against Alex Preddy. They called him a domestic terrorist. If they can do it against Alex, they can do it against you. If they can shamelessly, boldly arrest Don Lemon on bullshit charges, even after a judge said there's nothing here, even after they tossed it out, they've been trying for 2 weeks, and 3 other Black independent journalists, they can do it to you. All right? None of us are safe. I'm independent. My co-host Danielle woke up. You've seen the Democracy-ish. We're going to publish it later, but she goes, "I'm terrified. I'm independent." I messaged Mehdi. He's independent. I was on with Joy earlier today. She's independent. On Don Lemon right now, they have nonstop streaming. They're just bringing on people. So I did 10 minutes there like an hour ago. It was Jen Welsh and Joy, Monique, myself, and they're like, we got to stick together, man. We got to stick together. And Jen Welsh was there from IHIP, and I tell Jen all the time, they hate you. They hate Joy more, but Jen, you're a white woman, and they hate it when white women get lippy. She goes, "Oh, I know." And going back to America, because you don't have to go to Europe, you don't have to compare it to the Gestapo. Who did they hate more than Black folks? White allies. What did they call those white allies? Race traitors. What do they do to those race traitors? Kill them. They're coming after all of us. Fascists come for everyone. However, I want to end on one positive note. I know it's wild. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the numbers. They are weak. They're negative double digits on every issue. They have lost the Latino support. They have lost the youth support. They're losing even some white folks. They cannot even afford to lose single-digit white folks. The economy is going to get worse. They've overreached on immigration. They've overreached on ICE. They've overreached on foreign policy. It's going to be bad. Things are getting far worse. But we have the numbers. This is key. We have the numbers. And that's why they're terrified. So what you're witnessing by the Trump administration, illegal, violent, terrifying, is nonetheless a reflection of a weak, insecure administration that knows it has lost the people. They're on the back foot, wildly swinging now. And the analogy I gave is that, and no offense to New York sewer rats, Donald Trump is a cornered New York sewer rat who will chew through everything and everyone to stay alive. We have the numbers. You have a rare moment. I've said it before. I'll say it again. This is it. A rare generational moment to push Otherwise, ossified, corrupt, weak institutional and political leaders. Yes, I said it. Trust the evidence of your eyes and ears. Look at the past 10 years. They will not move unless they are moved. You have to push them. They have told you they want business as usual. They want restoration, not transformation. Time of restoration is gone. We're not like this. Oh, let's go back. No, 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 no. It's done. Too many Americans have seen what ICE is. Too many Americans have seen the billionaires and the oligarchy. You have to push them. Right now, they're primary season. Get rid of the people who are useless. The 7 Democrats, make their lives hell, who voted to fund DHS. Chuck Schumer, if you do not push them, he will not go for massive reform. He won't do it, folks. It's ideological. It's corporate donors. It's who they are. You got 2 weeks. You have to push these people. The wind is behind our backs for the first time. And we live, unfortunately, in the United States of amnesia. I want you to remember that 2 weeks is a lifetime in American politics. We forget. We forget. We forgot that Donald Trump wanted to invade Greenland. Gone. We forgot that, Davos, our allies, mocked us. Gone. We forgot that he killed Venezuelans without due process. Gone. We forgot that he bombed Nigeria, claiming to bomb ISIS. Gone. Right? There's a few things that stay in people's memories: the economy, it's the Epstein files, which is why I always say it's the biggest club. Epstein files, it's the big club. It's his Achilles cankle. And it seems now that ICE is becoming his Achilles cankle because ICE is integral to the white supremacist project of Stephen Miller, which is why when Donald Trump was asked yesterday, do you plan on de-escalating? What did he say? No, we won't. He can't. They're all in now. So our job is to just go bold, push, smash mouth defense and offense. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Abolish ICE. I'm not alone. Majority of Americans say it too. How can you train or retrain or reform this corrupt agency? When people say get ICE out of Minnesota, and so they can kill people in New Jersey, what the F are we doing, folks? I don't have faith in the Democratic leadership. I don't. You all do. I don't. I'll be the bad guy. I'll be the bad cop. I'll push them. I'll be called, on Blue Sky, man. Oh man, people hate me. Why are you so negative? I don't trust them. That's why. I trust the evidence of my ears and eyes, and I'm going to trust my batting average. And I saw what happened in 2024 with Palestine, with the genocide. I saw what happened last week with the House Democrats. I saw what happened with Mamdani. They won't fight unless you push them. So it's up to us. We have to push them. Thank you all. It's 2,400 people. I will, inshallah, stitch this together and have this out later tonight. I think there's one more day for my New Year's Terrible Capitalist Special for the month of January. It's 25% off. It is $3.75 forever, $37.50 for the year. It's the lefthook.substack.com/special. If you can, please support independent journalists, voices, and commentators. Please, if you don't have the money, it's okay. Everything is free. Just subscribe. Subscribe to Danielle. Subscribe to Allison. Just support us because, look, Amazon's in it. YouTube's in it. Google, TikTok. You've all seen the stories of how they're throttling Apple. They will come after Substack. Because in Substack for the past year, we, the anti-fascists, have kind of taken over. So they literally took over TikTok because they said, oh, wow, young people are seeing the genocide in Gaza. Took over CBS. Apple now is helping ICE. YouTube is helping them. Of course, they're going to come after Substack. So we have to get so powerful here that Substack will be like, we love money. And the color green trumps the color white. And it's bad for our business to throttle people like Waj and Danielle and others. I know this sounds cynical, just how it is, folks. So if you don't got $3.75, I get it. Everything's free. Please subscribe. Thank you all for watching. Take care. Be kind. Enjoy yourselves. And please, oh, please don't be a fascist.